Hey, how's it going? Some time ago, I posted a video about getting a job as a strip club DJ. I started working at a club called the Classic Cat back in 1987, and I mentioned how I got into the business. And, I did that kind of work for about, what, 14, 15 years? I worked in various clubs, and I had left the business some years ago, and I didn't go back. And I have some pretty fond memories, although some not so fond memories of my years in the business. And a friend of mine who saw that video, he advised me to talk about some of the things that happened to me over the course of those years that I worked in the business. Don't anticipate any stories of wild orgies and massive drug use. I didn't live the life of Hunter S. Thompson, so I've never been some wild party animal. But I think maybe some of the things I talk about in this channel might be interesting to some people. Now, I grew up in a part of Honolulu called Kalihi, working class area, and I grew up there from the time my mom brought me and my brother and sister here from North Carolina. I lived in first in Upper Kalihi, which is I guess it's not really rural, but you'll find people with yards and trees growing in their yards and people having dogs and that sort of thing. We moved down to Lower Kalihi, which is a lot more concrete and asphalt. Not a lot of trees growing anywhere. You hardly ever find a lawn in front of someone's house. It was decidedly working class area. I wouldn't call it a slum. Some people call it a slum. I didn't call it that. And since I was a child and I didn't really have to, earn money to buy clothes with, my mom bought my clothes for me. I wore whatever she bought for me. Whatever she thought was nice is what I wore to school. And when I graduated from high school, got into the workforce, I was working these jobs that didn't require you to dress up, but one day I landed a job as a strip club DJ, and then the whole thing about fashion and appearance changed. Going to the little old Japanese lady a quarter mile from my apartment, my mom's apartment actually, to get my hair cut for $5. Those days were now firmly in the past. I was now in a world where you didn't go to the barber, you went to the hairstylist. And it seemed like every single stripper I knew had an opinion of how I should get my hair cut, whether or not I should get my ear pierced, what kind of clothes I should wear, what kind of cologne I should wear, that sort of thing. And yes, I got my ear pierced. I wore earrings. Okay. I wore, I bought one fancy suit made by a company called Willie Wear. That was the best suit I ever wore in my life. I swear to God. Unfortunately, they don't make it anymore because the guy died. But here, this whole coronavirus curfew thing has made me think of my hair more often. I wish to God I could get my hair cut. But since I've been thinking about that, getting my hair cut, and wishing I could get my hair cut, I remember the story of a hairstylist that I encountered when I was working the Classic Cat, when I was still relatively new to the business. I was still going to that old Japanese lady. $5, get my hair cut. No big deal. The girls thought I should go to a hairstylist, not a barber, a hairstylist. I didn't see the fucking difference. I mean, well, a hairstylist is something a woman goes to. A man goes to a barber, or so I thought. Of course, every woman in the club had an opinion about how I should get my hair cut. Should I grow it long? Should I grow it short? Should I shave the side? It's just on and on, just never ending. One day, one of the girls, whose name I don't remember which one it was, introduced me to this guy who was a customer of hers. He'd been coming in for like a couple weeks. He was a hairstylist. He worked at a local location of Fantastic Sam's here on Oahu. And he started giving me advice about how I should get my hair cut and styled so that I would look better. And he offered to cut my hair for free, at least the first time, if I would, tell the girls what a great job he'd done and give out his business card. Because he was trying to, at the location he was at, he didn't have regulars who came in, because you can request a particular hairstylist. He didn't have people calling and requesting him, making reservations to see him. People were calling to reserve time with other hairstylists, and he was trying to build up a regular clientele. Fair enough. He would cut my hair for free, give me some of his business cards, and, at least that first time, right? The second time, I assumed that I would have to pay him, which is fine if he did a good job. So I didn't have a car, so I had to take the bus. The location of Fantastic Sam's he was at was on the other side of the island from me, which meant that I had to get on the bus and travel over there. I was on the bus, almost an hour to get over there. And I finally arrive, and sure enough, cuts my hair, looks great. It really did look great. And then he recommended some products for me, like shampoos and styling gels and rinse. Like, okay, I'll take whatever advice I can get. And then he charged me for the haircut. And I'm like, well, didn't you say it was free? I didn't want to push the issue, but I said, you did say it was free the first time. I said, oh yeah, but my boss is here. I'm not supposed to give away free haircuts, so I have to charge you this time. And when I come to the club, like the next time, I'll give you back your money, okay? I'm like, okay. I'm a little bit uneasy about this because there's no guarantee he would come into the club. I mean, he has my money. Whatever. Okay, so I paid him the money, took the hair care products he recommended, got the bus home. And sure enough, yeah, the girls at the club were like, yeah, he did a really good job on your hair. Okay. He did come into the club a few days later, and he explained the situation with his boss. He did not at all offer to refund the money I gave him to pay for the haircut. He didn't even mention it. I, however, said, so you said the first one was free, but it's not? I said, well, my boss wouldn't tolerate it. But, and he did, when he was working on my hair before, he did advise me to get my hair cut every week so that it would always look the same. My hair grows rather quickly. And he said, if you want to keep a consistent look, you should have your hair cut every week. I was getting my hair cut like once a month and a half, something like that. So, and he's like, well, okay, so if I'm paying you for a haircut every week, my expense for getting my haircut has gone up at least 4 times. And the haircut I was getting from him was more expensive than at the branch of Supercuts, where I had been going on a regular basis once a month. So now the expense of having my haircut has gone up times 4. And I did give out his business card. He didn't come through on his end, the free haircut, but I came through on mine. And figured, you know what, I'll pay for the damn haircut. He's doing a good job. I'll just write that part off. I'll be the bigger man about it. So I went to go see him a second time. Never offered a free haircut again. That's fine. I thought he was doing a fine job about it. And then he would come into the club, the Classic Cat, every so often to talk to me. And he would say hi to the girls because he wanted strippers to also be his regular clientele, because he knew, of course, strippers have money. And he was not only working the strippers at the Classic Cat, he was working the strippers at other clubs in town. So after I'd seen him like 2, maybe 3 times, and he had come in occasionally to the Classic Cat over this period of time. And one time I was talking about it, saying I'm going to go see him again this weekend, and I mentioned this to one of the girls, and she said, "Yeah, I saw him once. I'll never see him again." And I thought, "Oh, what do you do? He mess up your hair?" I said, "No, he grabbed me." And like, "What do you mean he grabbed you?" Basically, he not only wanted strippers to be his clients as a hairstylist, he also wanted to fuck them. So if a dancer came by and got her hair styled by him, and I guess he liked the way she looked, or he thought that she'd be easy to hop in the sack with, he would call her at home and try to get her to go out with him. And he seemed to have a really difficult time taking no for an answer. And I realized I was responsible. I mean, partly responsible for this. I mean, I wasn't taking responsibility for him, grabbing on the girls, but I mean, I had recommended him to these girls, and they had gone to see him on my recommendation and been, fondled by him, harassed by him, stalked by him, basically. And I'm like, fuck, what have I just fucking done? I was raised by my mom, and my older sister, my aunts and grandmother were always a very important part of my life. And I was at least partly responsible for the women I worked with, some of whom I counted as my friends, them being sexually harassed and stalked by this guy. So I, of course, made the decision that I'm not going to go see this guy again. I'm not going to recommend anybody go see him again. And of course, the word about him has already begun to circulate around the club. Don't go see that guy. But they didn't want to tell me about, the girls didn't want to tell me about this because they thought he was my friend. I mean, I was seeing the guy, of course, to cut my hair every week, but that was the extent of it. We didn't hang out. We didn't know each other. I have a best friend already. His name is Tony. I've known him since we were children. He's never cut my hair once. I don't make, just because you cut my hair doesn't mean you're my best friend or even a friend. You're just someone I know, okay? But I had to admit to myself that he did know how to cut my hair better than I had been getting it cut by other people in the past. So I had a plan that the next time I saw him, I would ask specifically what he was doing, and I would take that information, and I would, the next person who was cutting my hair, I would tell them, this is what I want you to do, and basically replicate the results without traveling across the island and paying some stripper stalker, for his expertise. And he was recommending these hair care products and things, which were much more expensive than anything I'd ever seen at Supercuts or any other place that cuts or styles hair closer to where I live. So I was spending more time getting there and more money buying the products that he was recommending. And he wasn't recommending cheap stuff either. So I went over there and I asked him, so what are you doing about the hair and the cutting and whatnot? And he told me and recommended certain products that I buy. Fair enough. And on the way back home, I'm writing all this down so that I would know to tell the next hairstylist or barber that I had, this is what I want you to do when you cut my hair. And that's what I did. On top of that, when I spoke to the girls next, I walked into the dressing room one night and I said, listen up, everybody, that guy, the haircutting guy over there at Fantastic Sam's, I think it was in Waiua, I said, he is not my friend, okay? He just cut my hair a few times. That's it. I'm never going back there again. If he tells you to come have him, cut your hair, style your hair, don't do it. Because, he's apparently been using me to get to you girls, and I'm very sorry. Okay. And they appreciated that. They really did. It was like, well, okay, Dwayne didn't mean for us to be victimized like this, but, he apologized and he's cut the guy off. So, yeah, the guy did keep coming into the club, asking me when I was going to come by, when I was going to come have him cut my hair again. And over the course of the time, he would see, yeah, my hair had been recently cut. Who cut your hair? Oh, this lady at Supercuts, she cut my hair. And I was having her do it because she was closer to me. I said I can't keep going on the bus, spending 2 hours on the bus every weekend. I don't have many days off. Okay. I was working 5, 6, 7 days a week sometimes. Every hour on that bus is wasted time. But I could be, sleeping. And instead of traveling over to Wahoo getting my hair cut, I could just go like a quarter mile, a half mile away from where I live and have my hair cut there. To spend all fucking day on the bus. I think he eventually got the message that I had just decided to stop seeing him. I didn't specifically tell him why. But none of the girls at the club wanted to have anything to do with him. All the girls ignored him because he was basically a scumbag. The last I ever heard about that guy, he was no longer working at Fantastic Sam's. Apparently, he put the moves on too many women, and they had complained to management about his behavior, and Fantastic Sam's fired him. And I never heard from that guy or about that guy again after that. Okay. So, yeah, that's what happened. And one little story to start off with. If I'm going to share incidents from my life as a strip club DJ, I figured I'd start off with some of the mundane stuff. There's some crazy shit back then. And I'll talk about that some other time. You take care now.